Hello again, this is Jesse Gallarzo bringing you another installment of the Python Learning Workshop. Now, in the last video, we went ahead and did some major changes to our tic-tac-toe script. For starters, we went ahead and updated the print grid function so that in between our grids, it would display the values from our game grid, which is the list that we're using to store our values. We went ahead and created the def place movement function, which once we see it in action, we're going to see that this function is going to go ahead and take the input from the user, which is going to be either an X or an O. Let's go ahead and add a question right there. Question space. It's going to take a position, an index number, and through this number is going to put our value somewhere within the game grid. And then once we're done, we're going to go ahead and assemble our code in a way where we're going to go ahead and see how our variable or how our string was placed into the grid, and how progressively over time we're going to try and match up rows and columns together to go ahead and give us our answer to, or give us the winning condition for the game. Now, last time when we were talking about loops and lists, there was one type of loop that I went ahead and neglected to mention until just right now, and that other loop is known as a while loop. And really quick, the for loop that we went ahead and did is pretty much what we wrote right here. So we have the for keyword, the I variable that we use within the for loop, in range indicating what the parameters for the loop are going to be, and then the code that gets executed within that loop. Now, the other type of loop that we're going to go ahead and see, like I mentioned right now, is called a while loop. And while the for loop tends to take a number, or it tends to take some sort of numerical value and base a loop on that, a while loop tends to be more logic based. I'm going to go ahead and write down in the tic-tac-toe script exactly what I mean there. So earlier in the videos, we will go ahead and notice that these functions right here, they just kind of print out once and then that's it. And that's not going to be the case for our game. We want it to keep continuously doing something until the condition is met, which is that the game is over and somebody won it. So for our while loop, we're going to go ahead and write it right here in the main function. So game rules, you don't necessarily need the game rules to be continuously repeating themselves. We only want them to do once. So we're going to go ahead and write our while loop right here. So we're going to start by writing the keyboard while, let's see right here, while game over does not equal true. And how we mentioned before that the Boolean data type for true and false, we're going to go ahead and use this data type to determine when the loop's going to be over. So as we noticed here before, when we went ahead and created the game over variable, we declared it false originally. So what this is indicating for us right here is that so long as it remains false or it's not true, we're going to go ahead and execute the piece of code that's underneath the while loop. And so we're going to go ahead and add the indentations right here. Print grid, place move, and let's go ahead and run that right now. So just like before, we went ahead and created our grid. This is our 3x3 list grid. And so now the script is asking us for a prompt. It's prompting us for an X or an O. We're going to go ahead and put X, and position, we're going to do position 1. And as we can see, the print grid right here went ahead and repeated itself. Why? Because it's still not true. Game over is still considered false. We have not done anything within the script to change that, so it's going to keep going. All right, so now we're going to do X, position 2. So now we have two X's lined up. Now let's go ahead and do it one more time. X, 3. So we went ahead and got 3 X's in a row, but nothing's happened. Why? Because we haven't determined in the script what we're going to do in order for us to change game over from false into true. And that is what our final function is going to be. Define the game winner, game winner is going to go ahead and determine that code, or it's going to create the code that's going to determine what conditions is going to change game over from false into true. So let's go ahead and start working on that right now. I'm going to go ahead and erase the comment right there. Go ahead and erase this comment right here. And again, just make sure that you keep the indentation intact. Alright then, so now we're ready to go ahead and write the game winner function. So, let's go ahead and get started here. We're going to go ahead and call the global keyword again. Global game over. Okay. Now after that, we're going to go ahead and write two separate for loops. I know that the for loop that we wrote for the script was kind of in conjunction with one giant loop. But in this one, we're going to do two separate loops. And you'll see why in a minute. So, for I in range 3. So everything's pretty much the same here. We're only going to make a for loop that goes up to range 3. Now, for our for loop, what we're actually going to execute, if answer is equal to game grid 0 I, and answer is equal to game grid I, and answer is equal to game grid 2I, print answer, take the variable answer, plus we're going to go ahead and add it to this next piece of string. S's are the winners. And then we're going to change game over here into true. So let's go ahead and let me go ahead and explain exactly what's going on here. So we have the global variable game over, so we're accessing this one right here. We're changing it to global within the function so that we have the ability to change it from false into true. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to change that value outside of this function. So now we have the for loop for I in range 3. And the important piece that's happening right here is that if statement. So if answer is equal to the whatever is stored under game grid 0I, and if that same answer is also equal to whatever is under game grid 1I, and then one more time, if the same answer equals to the same value as stored in game grid 2I, then it's going to go ahead and print out the answer that they are the winners, either X's or O's, and then it's going to change the game over variable from false into true. So what we notice right here, 0I, 1I, 2I, what it's going to go ahead and do is iterate through all the rows of the game grid. So it's going to go through starting off 0, 0, 1, 0, 2, 0. Actually, as a matter of fact, I think I might have gotten those mixed up. Let me go ahead and change that real quick. Actually, let me go ahead and double check something here real quick. 0, 0, 1, 0, 2. I'm gonna change those to zeros right there. Or, hold on. Let's see, we're gonna go ahead and leave it like this for now. Let's go ahead and run it and see what it does. Move this back. Huh, that's weird. Let's go ahead and just stop the code. Let's run it again. So we're going to put X's as our values. Position 1, X, position 2, X, position 3. Alright, that's what I thought. Let's go ahead and stop that right here. So I'm going to do I 0, I1, and then I2. Let's rerun that. Stretch this back out real quick. Okay. So now, again, we're being prompted. X, position 1, X, position 2, X, position 3. Huh. Let's go ahead. Oh, my mistake. So what I didn't do right here, I forgot to go ahead and add the game winner function, since we already defined it. Let's go ahead and run it again. Stop that really quick. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and stretch this out so you can kind of see the output a little bit better. I'm going to play it. X1, X2, X3. So there you go. It went ahead and said X's are the winners. Sorry about that. I was testing something right now. Let me go ahead and erase that really quick. One more time. X1, X2, X3. And so there you go. So this is how we go ahead and break out of our while loop. And something that you want to go ahead and be careful of whenever you're working with loops, whether they're while loops or for loops, if you don't design them in the proper way to where they'll reach their conditions, you'll get what is known as an infinite loop, and your program's never going to go ahead and stop. So we went ahead and tweaked that by go ahead and placing the game winner function that determines the function or determines the variable that changes right here, game over to be true to break out. So now we went ahead and defined a function that allows us to break out of the loop and essentially stop the game. So now we're going to go ahead and do this one more time, but instead of doing for rows, we're going to do it for columns for j in range of 3. So pretty much we're going to check all the columns now. If answer is equal to game grid. And so it's going to be very similar to the way we just wrote the top for loop out, but instead of having the variables on the left, we're going to have them on the right. So we're going to have 0, and the next bracket is going to be j, and answer is equal to game grid 1j, and answer is equal to game grid 2j colon. So it's going to be the same thing. Print answer plus are the winners. And then at the very bottom, just go ahead and change it again. Game over is equal to true. So now whenever we have items that match vertically or they match horizontally, it's going to go ahead and print out our answer and change the game over variable from false into true, so that way the game or the loop is indicated that we're done. We don't need to run this anymore. So we're going to stop. Then we're going to put one more line right here. Print game over. So we went ahead and filled out all the functions. Let's go ahead and run it all together now and see what it does. Okay, so now it's asking me for input. I'm going to go ahead and put X. Put 1. That's what I was afraid of. Let me go ahead and do that again. X. 1. Alright, so now I'm going to go ahead and play as the other player and put O. I'm going to go ahead and put this in position 4. Alright, so I stopped myself from getting 3 of a kind going down. So I'm going to go ahead and press X. and put in position 2. Now see, if I was a smart tic-tac-toe player, I would stop myself right there at the 3, but just so you can we can indicate to see how the game responds to somebody winning, I'm going to go ahead and pretend I don't see that move. Press O. I'm going to put it in position 5 and try and race myself. Obviously, that's not going to work. I'm going to put X in position 3. And there we go. So we went ahead and reached the win condition. We got X's are the winners. And then we got the last print statement to indicate that the game is already over. So if you follow through with all the instructions and haven't run into any major issues with it so far, we went ahead and have a working copy of the tic-tac-toe script that now enables us to go ahead and give it input, and we get the output as far as we either get the loop giving us all this over and over, or we reach the conditions that we need to go ahead and declare a winner, either being X's or no's. And so we're going to go ahead and stop here, and our last video is going to go ahead and talk what functions are. Pretty much we've been working with functions the entire time that we've been running with the script. All of these right here are functions, but for brevity, I've went ahead and skipped over what they are and how we use them up until the very end. Now that we have the code already running, we can kind of all step back and see exactly how it works. So hopefully if you're still there, we're going to go ahead and finish the final explanation as far as what we've done. And thank you so much.